Hello and welcome to the second X Martial Arts Schools podcast. My name is Luke Burks, I'm the owner of X Martial Arts Schools, and today I'm joined by Cole Rochester. So Cole Rochester is the co-owner of XMA Malton, which is one of our newer schools. It's the second newest school, and he's also our apprentice videographer. So if there's some media that you see going out, like this for example, that is Mr. Rochester, and we're training with Dan, aren't we, from how do you say his business's name? I struggle with that. Elysian Network. Elysian Network, yeah. So Elysian Network. Know, really. Yeah, so Elysian Network of York. If you don't know them, check them out. I'm sure we can put a little link in this podcast somewhere. But you have an apprenticeship with him, don't you?
Yeah,
through X Martial Arts Schools, and then I collaborated with Dan to get you some training. So that's really good. So before we talk about Malton, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? About the videography, about what you've done so far with it.
Yeah, awesome. So we started just when I left school. So
September last year.
About September last year we started and wanted to do something else. So we didn't want my mum as well. She was big on not just having one thing, not just having one plan, and that's it. So she wanted me to do sort of other stuff as well. So we thought. A good idea. We do lots of filming, so with the martial arts, with X Martial Arts School. So why not take that to the next level and try and get our filming even better? I can learn something whilst doing that. So we started with Dan. He started taking me out when he goes to jobs and filming and whatnot. So I was going out filming with him, and then we started him coming in and teaching me the editing side as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's a very sensible choice, a very sensible decision from your mum, and I completely get what she's saying there. So you've obviously carved a career with X Martial Arts Schools by having your own school, by having your own franchise, but it's nice to have a backup and even a little side hustle as well. I think the massively important. I encourage all of our school owners and staff, if they have another little project that they want to do that we can help with, that's great. I have multiple side hustles. Lots definitely, because I'm very interested in lots of things, and having fingers in all sorts of pies, as some people might say. But I think it's really good for you to have a backup, and it massively complements what we're doing with X Martial Arts. I tried doing something similar when I left school. My mum wanted the same for me. She wanted me to have a backup. So I went to college to do graphic design. And I went for my interview before the 6 weeks holidays, and they gave me loads of homework. And I know modern graphic design is 95%, maybe even more than that, just on a computer, isn't it? Yeah. And then they gave me lots of drawing and painting and colouring in work over the holidays. I think
a lot of it is... a lot of graphic designers will do stuff on pencil and paper as well, but nowadays it's a lot changed, and I don't think they show you.
No, like Gary, our graphic designer, martial arts creative, he does do the majority on his computer, but occasionally he will just crack out the pencil and paper. But so anyway, they gave me this homework and I did it, but I turned up on the first day and I remember seeing everybody else's who was quite arty, and they'd gone to town on it, and I didn't even get mine out. I was embarrassed. I just said, look, I haven't done it. I don't think this is for me. But at the time, my mum was adamant I had to go to college for at least the first year. So I said, well, you need to make a decision. What are you going to do? And I just said, oh, my friend Connor's doing painting and decorating. I'll do that. So that was good. I did okay, to be honest. I got painter and decorator of the year. That is my claim to fame in the manual labour category. So yeah, that was my claim to fame. But it's good to have a backup, and I think definitely. You're doing very well at it. And we get compliments all the time about taking our video, capturing our media to the next level. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So as well, let's talk about Malton.
Yeah.
So how old is Malton? When did it start? And what has changed since? Because it changed pretty quick.
Yeah.
It changed about 6 months after we opened.
So we started Malton January 2019. So last year we started it, and I was still in school at the time, so I was 15. I was 15 years old when Malton started.
So not to cut in there as well, we've talked about your mum wanting you to have a backup, your parents wanting you to have a backup, but a massive commitment for you and a massive sense of trust from your parents to go, right, at 15, he's not even left school yet, he's got some savings, let's let him borrow that to invest in opening his own business, a martial arts business, because this is what we know he wants to pursue as a career once he leaves school. That's massive trust, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was definitely the best thing for me at the time as well, because I was teaching. I was teaching more and more every sort of like month and that went by, but I wasn't then at the point where you could just crack on and I'd teach classes. I'd just do it. But then because I was there, and obviously we started with Mr. Beale, we started with Tom, and he kind of helped me out. He'd kind of just like help me go. He'd push me not push me along, but encourage me. And then within a couple of months I was there. I was teaching full classes.
It's like learning to drive. So you've done our certified instructor training program. It's like learning to drive. They do enough for you to pass your test, but then that first week of you passing your test, you do more driving than you've ever done, and you're better. And it's the same with when you have to teach. You literally put on the spot, and Mr. Beale would say, "Right, I'm here with you, but it's on you. Go on, go teach."
I think that's what I needed as well. I remember when I first started teaching, like when we was at the old place in Acomb, and Mr. Watkinson, he'd go, "Okay, guys, Mr. Rochester's going to take this warm up," and I'd freeze. I'd be like, "What?"
Sure.
And then I'd just have to get on with it, and that's what I needed. I needed to be put on the spot.
A bit of a push. No, so that's been really good for you.
Definitely.
That's been great. So you mentioned that you started with Mr. Beale.
Yeah.
You started with Tom, and Tom met his fiance now, and the mother of his child as well. So he met her and moved to he's like Murfield sort of way, Dewsbury, Murfield, Huddersfield sort of way, and then that was such a commute for him.
Total other side, isn't it?
He was coming to New Ayswick twice a week from there, and then going to Malton twice a week, which we actually worked out the other day because we did the challenge in the XMA group. 43 miles each way, was it? It's about that.
It was more than that because it was 108.
108, yeah, you're right.
Half
54. Yeah. So it was 108 miles for him.
There and back.
There and back, yeah. So that was massive, yeah. So to do that twice a week, it was a real drain on him, and you could see he was losing enthusiasm for it. So he sold his half of the franchise back into the group, and opened Murfield with that revenue it generated, and we brought Mr. Pritchard in. So that was about 6 months in, and that was, like you said, was a massive challenge for you.
Yeah.
It was a massive challenge for Will.
Yeah.
And it was a great challenge for him because he's developed so much as part of himself.
Yeah, he's come along. He used to be a little bit shy, not shy, but he's just come on so much, and I think that it helped me as well, being the sort of lead in the class.
You're the most experienced instructor. Yeah. So at 16, I know you're now 17, but at 16, you're the most experienced instructor in there.
Yeah.
And for any of you who don't know Cole, when you might hear that, you might go, "Wow, the most experienced instructor at 16 doing the school." But this has been your life since you were 4 years old, and you've trained
nearly 13 years.
Nearly 13 years. You've travelled all around the world, won eight world kickboxing and sport karate titles. So this is literally the biggest thing in your life, isn't it? And and even though he's only 17, you know so much, and you've been helping teaching classes since you was 10 years old for such a long time. So that was really good for you, and really good for Will as well.
Will,
So obviously we've been closed the physical doors have been closed for a couple of months now due to the COVID-19, the coronavirus. But the school now is about 17 months old. It's coming up to a year and a half old, isn't it? So what do you we're touching 100 members.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, just below, yeah.
Yeah, touching 100 members, not far off, fluctuates a little bit. What would you like to see for Malton in the next 18 months?
In the next, we'd like our own premises. So just a place where, obviously we're running out of the school at the moment, so we're running out of a sports hall sort of thing. But and it's good, it's great. There's a lot of space that we can use and really utilise that. But we'd like our own place, so just somewhere where we can keep everything out and
serve your members better.
Serve everyone better. Yeah, I think it'd just be it's kind of next step, taking it to the next level. Hopefully getting somewhere that's like we can graphic the walls and just do everything to make X martial arts.
Yeah, definitely. It is still very X martial arts now. We have
everything.
It fully branded. Yeah. Our mats and our chairs are colour coordinated when we can and everything. But it's just being able to serve your members just that bit better, offer more. And if you have more, if you have your own facility, you can be open more and you can change more people's lives in the local
birthday parties,
area.
Private lessons, everything. Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's give us a little bit of an insight about Malton and where Malton's going to go in the future. So the topic we want to talk about today is maybe a little bit of a taboo as well. What that means, what many people might not want to talk about because they're worried. You wasn't sure, it's all right. Because people are worried about it. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? And it's going to be injuries, because especially if you maybe enrolling your child into a martial arts program, or your child already trains and then they're ready to take it to another level and start sparring and competing. You may be worried about injuries.
Oh, definitely.
So obviously, first precaution we take is everyone's fully safety equipment out. Everyone's fully in. All your safety equipment is provided through X Martial Arts as well, so we know the quality is there to keep you as safe as possible. So you, from what I can remember, Cole loves a little injury. He loves a little injury. And everybody gets these. So the most common one is
my rolled ankle all the time.
And how would you get that roll in your ankle?
It was for a couple of months. Every time I'd train, I'd roll my right ankle, and then that one got all right, and then it went to my left ankle.
Yeah.
But that was I remember doing an axe kick once, and I landed wrong, went over on my ankle.
Running
around the track. Yeah. I'm quite what's the word?
Injury prone.
I'm just injury prone. I just trip over. I stub my toe.
Yeah, so another one which a lot of people get is stubbing the toe.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do, especially because we train barefoot on the matted area. There's not much you can do about stubbing toe. But these little injuries, they come and go. They're nothing serious, really, are they? They're nothing serious preventing you from
a couple of days rest and it's all right.
Yeah. So you've had, from what I remember, 2 serious injuries.
Yeah.
And the best thing, not the best thing, obviously, but for what people might be surprised to hear, is these injuries they've prevented you doing stuff in martial arts, but they didn't happen at martial arts, did they? So they didn't happen. So the first one is my favourite, because if you know Mr. Rochester and you've been like this forever, he's like a self-taught gymnast, parkour sort of guy. He will backflip, he'll run up walls and backflip and cartwheel, handspring, everything. If there's something to jump over or flip over or jump off a bridge into the river, he will. I'll doing
be the first one doing it.
Yeah, he's doing it. So Cole broke his collarbone 8 weeks before the World Kickboxing Championships.
I think it was about 6 weeks.
I think it was 8, and they gave you the all clear 6 weeks before. But I might be wrong. But it was about 8 weeks before his first World Kickboxing Championships, and this was in Florida, and his full family were coming. So his mum, his dad, and Ethan and Hattie.
Was Hattie born? Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure she was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the full family were coming, so it was at a great expense to them as well.
Oh, yeah.
So for you who runs up walls and you train competitively in martial arts, you train hard, you train with the adults as well at that point. Cole broke his collarbone playing TIG at school because he tripped over and a larger child fell on him.
Yeah, snap my collarbone straight off.
Snapped your collarbone. So we were told there was a chance that it would heal in time, but don't count on it. So we maintained fitness, didn't we?
I couldn't do no push-ups, no strength work,
no punching,
no contact. I could do a bit of jogging. That was it, really.
So we maintained fitness best we could, and then you got the all clear 2 weeks before we was about to fly out to Florida.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit in, but we had to be careful. And it was our first World Championships. You did really well. You got beat in the final. So you got a silver by another fantastic English competitor, TJ Bacon. World class is TJ.
Awesome.
He is really good. You've since gone on to beat TJ, haven't you? Have you ever thought you beat him this year at the Worlds?
No, I beat the guy who beat him.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, okay. But you beat him since, haven't you? Yeah. But back then you had a rivalry with TJ.
We was best friends, but it was a rivalry.
We have this with TJ. If he does ever listen to this, we've had a couple of people. So you had a rivalry where you would win, and I think he beat you for quite a long time.
I think he beat me for years. Yeah.
He beat you for years, and then finally
I beat him once.
You beat him once, and that was it. And it's something in your head. And we had the same with Harvey, Mr. Fisher. Harvey would get beat by him 4 or 5 times, I think, and then the first time he beat him, that was it. I don't think he's been beat by him again. He's fought him 3 or 4 times since.
TJ, he's got a face, and he'll just show like he's not bothered. You're going to hit him as hard as you want, and he's not bothered.
He's fantastic, is TJ.
He's awesome.
He's wicked. He's really good. And he's very similar to you.
Yeah.
All he's ever done is train and fight and compete. So so that's good. So that was your first World Championships. What other injury have you had, the major one?
I snapped my hip. I broke my hip. It came off.
So you chipped bone on your hip, is that right?
It pulled off.
Okay.
They said that because I'm young, my muscles are stronger than my bones. So there's like a piece attaching, I've forgotten what it's called, the muscle that attaches a muscle to a bone, thing.
Like a tendon?
A tendon. It just pulls my bone off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
I was doing PE at school, and I remember I was playing football.
Oh, so not a really rough, combat sport? You weren't doing wrestling or anything like that?
Football. No. I'm not good at football. So I was banned after this, but my PE teacher was playing the game and he was running up the field. So I sent the ball up the field to him, but as my leg was in, it wasn't even rain either. It was dry ground. As my leg was in the air, I slipped and I fell into the forward splits, but on my hip side, and then that was it. I was just on the floor. Yeah, and my hip was popped.
And obviously, the consequence of the collarbone was nearly missing the World Kickboxing Championships in Florida. What was the consequence for you for the hip?
For the hip, that was Malton was relatively new, so I missed a couple of months of being able to teach there at Malton, being able to be there, watched the members that we'd only just got through the doors,
sure.
And I'd only just met sort of thing, getting to know them. I had to miss all that, and then as well we were supposed to be fighting in Guatemala at the Pan American Championships, and I couldn't fight.
Yeah, so the downside of Guatemala was it was the first ever Pan American Championships, and we was representing Team England.
3 of us.
And there were just 3 of you, and you was one of them, wasn't you? So unfortunately you didn't get to compete at that. But we did still take the trip. We'd committed to go in. 2 of the 3 were from our club. It was you and Harvey, so we were going anywhere. And I was going. We talked about these little side hustles and these business interests at the beginning. So alongside my great friend Ian Hollett, we have a platform called Insight, which is where you can learn martial arts tuition online, and there's some other courses coming onto that. So we was going over, because Ian was teaching a seminar in Guatemala, which, if you don't know where Guatemala is, we had to fly to Mexico and then to Guatemala, so it's South America.
Yeah.
So you got to help Mr. Hollett.
Yeah, that was awesome. Still an awesome experience.
Teach the seminar in Guatemala, which was amazing. And you've helped him since as well. What other did you help him in Canada?
I helped him in Canada as well. Yeah. Canada, and then we of course go down and film. as well.
We go and film in Liverpool, don't we,
Yeah.
when we go to
Yeah.
film at Insight. But the seminar was awesome as well.
The turnout was
It was packed. You could not move, and it was great because Mr. Hollett partnered up with Robbie Lavoie.
Awesome fighter as well.
Yeah, and they've had some amazing matches against each other. They've had a little rivalry going for years. And the last time they met was in Florida, I think, where Mr. Hollett beat him in the final.
Yeah.
So that was great. So then for them to come together and do a seminar where Mr. Hollett's representing Insight, you're representing Insight, that was it was an amazing experience, was it? And we had a great trip.
Oh, it was an awesome trip, yeah.
We had a great trip. So even though you was prevented from competing, you're still able to get in there. And you've got a photo as well where I think you're taking a knee next to this little Guatemalan kid that you helped. Yeah, there's some girl.
There was so I was helping teach the seminar, and then I was going around and helping people as well. And then there was just this one little girl from Guatemala, and she didn't barely speak any English. And she had no partner. She was about this big. So then I jumped in and I was helping her and working with her, and that was awesome. That was really good.
It was good. That was a great trip. So unfortunately, obviously, you couldn't compete. Harvey still competed.
Yeah.
But we still got to go and represent England and Insight. So that was great. So looking at injuries in martial arts, for you who has spanned training 13, 14 years in martial arts, and for myself, touch wood, I haven't had any major injuries from martial arts, and we've both competed at world level. We both, when we trained hard to represent Team England, we're training 4 or 5 times a week, sometimes multiple days, and we're sparring and we're pushing hard. I do think at some point I have had my nose broke, and I've just never had it fixed. Because it is a bleeder. Every time it gets hit, it bleeds. And there's a picture of me having fought in Florida. I was against a Mexican kid.
Can we put this up?
We can put this picture up. Yeah, we can put this picture up. There's a couple of pictures anyway, but I wonder if we can put a little clip in as well where I sweep him, because I think this is where it happens. He axe kicks me, and I grab the leg and I sweep him. But if anyone knows, I wonder if we can put a clip of this in as well. If anyone knows what a DDT is in wrestling, it's where you get your partner in a headlock up next to your hip and you slam the head into the floor.
Look out! Oh, DDT!
He DDT'd me into the floor.
After you swept it.
As I swept him, like at the same time. So believe it or not, from this picture, I actually won that fight. But the Mexican was tough. He banged, he hit hard.
He could get hit hard.
Yeah, I was hitting him hard and it wasn't phasing him. So you'll see the picture of me. So I think my nose, if it wasn't broke before, it definitely was after that. Because you can see from my eyes just were black. And if I had, because we was in America, if I had $10 for every time someone stopped me and made a comment about my eyes, or to stop and ask to take a picture, I would have at least $30 because it happened at least 3 times. It was more than that. It was talk of the tournament.
The trip.
Yeah, but I look rough. But except from that, there's no major injuries. And touch wood, I don't really know anyone who's had a major injury while training, competing. I remember with my instructor, there was a guy who trained called Ben. You won't remember him. This was at Foxwood Community Centre, and Ben was really ridiculously supple, and he axe kicked on top of a hanging punch bag, and his back knee just came out. It just it went. So my instructor took him to the hospital, and he came back training 2 weeks later. And then I remember him sparring with a guy called Rob, and Rob was a big guy, and Ben was slender. Ben was maybe 55, 60 kilos, and they weren't even sparring, sorry, they were doing shoulder tig. And we do shoulder tig, and then you tap your partner's belly, and you tap the foot. And he stood on his foot, and Ben's moved it, and his little toes stayed there. It just literally ripped all the skin off his little toe. So he had this foot with just a skeleton little toe on the end, and the skin was over here. Yeah, so they're pretty nasty injuries, but
that's about it.
That's about it, really. So I think with the right instructors in place and the right safety equipment, and being precautious. I think injuries, like your worst injuries, haven't even been at martial arts, have they?
I think I've got a broken toe at the moment.
That's very common in martial arts, isn't it? And all you can do is strap it to the next one.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it, yeah. So yeah, that's it for injuries, really. So that's good. So it's been really good having you in. So this has been our second one. So we've obviously talked about Malton, and we had Mrs. Britland in for our first one. And for our next podcast, I'm really looking forward to inviting Mr. Watkinson in. We have had a first attempt at a podcast with Mr. Watkinson, but we had technical difficulties. So he's got a great martial arts story to tell, because he didn't start training with us. He started training with his dad, and his dad actually had his own martial arts gym in York, and then that developed into myself working with him. My dad knew his dad from when they used to work on the doors together, so it'd be really good to bring Mr. Watkinson in and learn about his martial arts journey and how we took him to world champion, multiple times world champion, and now the chief instructor of our HQ. At only 20 years old as well, so that'd be really good. So make sure you tune in, guys. If you've got any feedback for us, let us know. If you've got any subjects you'd like us to talk about, and if you are looking to find us, this is going to be on YouTube. We are on Apple Podcasts, and we are on Spotify as well for our podcast. And when you put it on Apple Podcasts, it goes onto multiple little other ones that you might listen to. So yeah, that's all good. So thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you very soon.